Welcome to the show. I'm so excited for this one as I bring you an awesome human. Her name is Miranda Daisy. She's a performer, educator, and advocate for inclusion. Miranda is an accomplished and passionate educator and a leading voice in inclusive performing arts. As the founder and director of Performability, Miranda has dedicated her career to making dance, drama, and music accessible to individuals of all abilities, including those with disabilities and neurodiversities. Now, Miranda from Performability will be presenting at Studio Biz Summit 2025, and we're so excited to have her as one of our guest expert speakers at the summit. Now, if you've never heard Miranda speak, I actually did hear her speak at the Australian Dance Festival, and I knew that we had to get her in. She's going to be bringing the masterclass topic, Oops, We Don't Swing on the Bar, Strategies for a Neurodiverse Classroom. So this is one that you won't want to miss. Make sure that you stick around and find out how you can really support everyone within your classroom. Hello and welcome to Studio Biz and all that jazz. I'm your performing arts business coach and host, Josephine Lancuba. This show is designed to bring you inspiration, information, and the instruments you need to create and grow the studio biz of your dreams. I will bring you a mix of solo episodes as well as interviews where I tap into the minds of industry experts. My career started as a performer over 2 decades ago. I later became a speaker, theatrical producer, and talent manager, as well as having a successful teaching career in singing, drama, and dance. 10 years into my professional journey, I became a mama of 2, and with a baby on my hip, opened up my very own performing arts studio. From hardship and humble beginnings to 4 studio locations and a multi-6-figure performing arts biz, I know how to attract students and keep them coming back for more. And in the show, I will share with you my experiences to help you thrive and fast-track your path to success. I know you have a spark inside of you with dreams and goals for the future. As your coach and mentor, I'm here to help you step into your limelight and be a cheerleader in your ear each and every week. So get ready to be entertained and inspired as we talk studio biz and all that jazz. Have you got your ticket to Studio Biz Summit 2025 yet? Don't miss out. It's only a couple of weeks away in Sydney on April 29th. Come and celebrate International Dance Day with me live and in person and meet our very special guest speaker, Miranda Daisy from Performability, who will be presenting on Oops, We Don't Swing on the Bar, Strategies for a Neurodiverse Classroom. Tickets are available now. Head to the link in the show notes. I'm so excited to welcome Miranda Daisy from Performability to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Jo. I always love talking about what I do because I love what I do. So always happy to share.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a conversation not long ago on an Instagram live. I've got you as one of our speakers, as I mentioned in the intro. You're going to be at Studio Biz Summit. So it's all happening.
Yes.
Now tell us, you had a really busy weekend. You were at the Dance Teacher Expo, and now it's like you're on a speaking tour. Is that what's happening right now?
That's so funny. I mean, I would love that. I do. I love talking to teachers and sharing what I wish I knew earlier. So it does feel a bit like that, I guess. It was great. It was a great weekend. Good to connect with so many people and hopefully inspire them to do what we do, or at least feel more comfortable doing what we do in their mainstream classes.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you got into the disability space. So let's start from there.
You know, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that this is what I would be doing ever. My goal and my dream growing up was to perform. I opened my first dance studio when I was in year 1 at school, in the lunch breaks.
Did you say year 1?
Year 1 at school.
Oh my goodness.
And I took my little cassette tape and had a microphone attached to it. And I remember being pulled into the principal's office during one lunch break for bullying. And I thought, I remember it so clearly, which is odd because I don't have a great memory really, but It was because I had kicked someone out of the dance school, right? Because she wouldn't commit to every lunchtime. And I just think of that now, and I think that's so funny. And we were rehearsing Bob the Builder, and we were going to perform it in someone's garage. It was the whole thing. So I always thought I would perform, and then I think back at that and go, maybe I was always going to be a teacher. So then I was a musical theatre girl. I performed in every amateur musical you could think of. I grew up in Newcastle, and they have an incredibly supportive musical theatre scene. Really amazing dancers and singers come out of Newcastle,
They
and
really do, actually,
so
when it
many,
comes to theatre. Yeah, for
so
sure.
many. And
Something
then
in the water, I think.
well, it's the teachers. The teachers in Newcastle are incredible. And, Marie Walton is from Newcastle, just to name one of the best ballet teachers in the world.
And
And
they've got the largest junior musical theatre festival in the Southern Hemisphere. I was actually a speaker at it, the Junior Theatre Festival, and so they just attract that sort of crowd in that region. Absolutely, yeah.
they do. And I'm so lucky and grateful that I grew up there, because it enabled me to realize what I loved, what my passion was, and I could do it all the time. And I gained so many skills as a performer from doing those shows. I'm actually going back there in a couple of weeks to talk for the Conda Awards, which is the City of Newcastle Drama Awards. And so still a very supportive community. And then I went through high school, still just thinking I'm going to leave at year 10 and I'm going to go full time, probably, if I don't book a show. Like, this is what my thoughts were. And to be honest, I got my heart broken, and I couldn't go back to school. I got my heart broken by a guy, right? And so I couldn't go back to school. I was so devastated.
How old were you?
16.
Oh, wow.
I really, really struggled with that. And so I left school. And to distract myself, I started looking for jobs. The first job that I got was a telemarketer, and I thought, I only tell this story the other day, I thought I could, wear trousers and a blazer and get a cool handbag and go and work in this office. And when I turned up, everyone was in like slippers and trackies, and I just thought, I cannot do this. And I felt a lot of guilt trying to sell people holiday homes on the phone.
Yeah.
Anyway, then I found another job, and that was teaching. So I was asked to teach drama to younger kiddos. And then eventually I got put on the singing classes, and then the ballet classes, and then everything else, because I had grown up doing every genre of dance and singing, and had done all my singing and music exams as well. And then fell in love with teaching and realized I was good at it. I realized, I really love this, and I'm really good at it, and I can help the kids that find it hard to learn. I always gravitated towards the kids that weren't as naturally good or struggled to understand the instructions. And then eventually I opened my own mainstream dance studio. I say it wasn't that long after. So my first school was at 18. And
it's always amazing to hear that origin story of age, because a lot of studio owners actually do start really young.
Yeah.
So I do find that always quite interesting, because usually when you start a business, you need a little, like, most people go into business with, some sort of a plan or a strategy or some business acumen. But artists just don't, and I just find that really always so fascinating, that the arts is just so passion driven, and it's like, I'm just going to do it and jump in the deep end, which is what you did at 18.
Yeah, that's what I did. And it's because people wanted to learn from me. And so I figured I should start doing this. And then I taught singing lessons, and I put kids through singing exams. And then I had a bit of a moment where I thought, what happened to my dream? I do not want to be in Newcastle teaching for the rest of my life and not have my dream, because I know I will resent all of this. So I started looking at full-time courses, and I chose Brent Street, honestly, because it was the one I could complete the fastest. And I don't like doing things over a long period of time. So I went to Brent Street and I did a diploma of musical theatre in a year. And then my friend asked me to go to the Universal Studios audition, because she didn't want to go alone. And I didn't want to go because I wanted to try and get into musical theatre in Australia. but I went to the audition and I booked that. And so then it was the next sort of moment of, okay, I guess we're going to Japan now. And mind you, I still had my dance school. So I was running that through full time. I was running that the whole time. And just before I went to full time is when performability opened. So this all sort of happened. This has always happened at the same time as everything I've been doing.
Did you work in Japan while running your studio and performability?
Yes, I had 7 jobs at one point in Sydney. And then when I got to Japan and I only had 3, I thought that was pretty good.
That's really interesting, because you don't have to be the person on the ground to necessarily run your business. And I suppose your hand was forced into that position because you probably thought, well, I don't want to shut what I've created down,
Exactly. Yeah.
but I don't want to miss this opportunity either. How long were you in Japan for?
It's really rough. The first contract was 9 months. My contract ended up being terminated because I put on weight.
Wow.
So I went through that next mental health crisis, coming back home with a few days' notice, so embarrassed to tell people why I was home early, all of that sort of stuff, and a lot of stuff to get through. So I had a great time in Japan, but my first contract wasn't the one for me.
Yeah, and with the especially culturally and international markets can be quite ruthless compared to where we're from,
Yeah.
But then it was a different era, right? As well. That's the other thing. Like, I don't know
They would still do it now for sure.
overseas, yeah.
Yeah.
Not in Australia. They couldn't get away with it,
No, not here. And it was under the clause of I've changed my appearance, and I'd signed a contract to say I hadn't changed my appearance. So that was really tricky. And then I came back and performability was still going. The other dance school was still going. I decided to give it to the main teacher. I didn't have that passion anymore. So I focused on performability, and I was teaching at Brent Street. I came back and started teaching at Brent Street, started teaching at a couple of other Sydney schools. And then, wishy-washy on the timetable. At some point, I went back to Japan on a completely different experience. I had the time of my life, and that lasted for almost 3 years. And that was all during COVID.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
Sort of at
That's
that point,
crazy.
yeah. So I
That's
went
crazy.
over, I got the contract I really wanted to do, which was the pop show, and I was singing, and then I was the show captain, and I just had the best people in my cast, and we became a family. And I think because I was singing every day, I was so much happier. And then that's when COVID hit while I was in Japan. So we started online performability classes because of that, which also meant I got to see the students every week again too. And I'd have some of the universal performers come in and teach as well. And this whole community, even in Japan, sort of started with my cast. And we were making YouTube videos and dance from home things. And that sort of sparked the performability drive for me again, knowing I could be more connected to them still through the internet, which is so silly that we didn't think of that before, because there's so many people across Australia and the world that we can reach out to with inclusive classes who can't get to a studio or are too anxious to come to a studio. So we accidentally found a new market of people who wanted to do this sort of thing from home. And then performability went from dance to also singing and drama online as well.
How would you describe performability now in your own words? What is performability?
An inclusive performing arts company for students and also for educators.
And why did you choose that path? Because you had the performing arts career, and you still perform now to this day. I've seen you online, you're doing singing gigs and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you had this dream to be a performer, you had this studio, you're working lots of jobs, you're overseas, you're managing all the things. Why the disability space?
It chose me. I just believe that it chose me. And I get emotional thinking about it because I now know, and I see every year at the concert and at every event that we do, why this is so important. And I can't imagine it not existing. The students it's life-changing for them. They get so much out of this that's for some of them, it is being on stage. And we know how much we love that feeling. I mean, I live for that feeling on stage. And if I don't still get, my soul is still not fed from performing, I very quickly start to be unhappy. And so some of our students want that too. For other students, it is, I say it all the time, but it's true, it's fact that there's been students that could not speak who can now sing and have conversations. There's students who were too scared to walk alone that are in an acro class and smashing goals. There's students with all of these amazing achievements that have come through movement and dance because it's medicine. I think it's medicinal movement. And the parents too. I mean, we've created a community for families and parents to meet other people that are going through the same things as them. And that brings me so much happiness that I think it would be a horrible thing to not do it anymore. I just wouldn't be able to not do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Now, at Studio Biz Summit, you're bringing a topic to the space, which is your masterclass called Oops, We Don't Swing on the Bar, Strategies for a Neurodiverse Classroom. Can you define neurodiverse? Is it specifically autism, or what is neurodiverse?
Neurodiverse is everybody. Neurodiverse is anybody's brain that's different, and we all have different brains. But neurodivergent is when we start talking about people whose brains work differently. So under the autism umbrella or the spectrum, or there's a lot of different diagnoses that go under neurodivergent. So neurodiverse is really everybody. And what I wish I knew when I was teaching at these bigger schools in Sydney and trying to manage big classrooms, lots of behaviours, was the stuff I know now, which is why I want to share it. So it works for everybody's brain. There's a lot of awesome tips and tricks in there about sensory processing and how that affects behaviour. And that's more tailored towards people with disabilities or those that are neurodivergent, which we know are so many people in mainstream schools as well. But then all of the behavioural strategies work for everybody anyway.
Yeah. And so we see people struggling in this space because they don't know what to do when someone in the classroom, has a different behaviour. Tell us about how studios and teachers can support that. Is there 1 way, 5 ways, 10 ways? Like, what does that actually look like if we have someone in the classroom that potentially could be, disrupting, like you say, oops, we don't swing on the bar, right? So some people may view that as disruptive behavior, but I mean, is that a perception thing? Is there something we can do? What does that actually look like?
Yeah, so one of the things I talk about in this workshop is labeling. And let's change our mindset around labeling. Naughty is probably not what's actually going on. They might not be naughty, they might be tired. Or if they're being disrespectful, maybe it's because they didn't actually understand the rules. So we look at us as teachers and how we can be better communicators to avoid behavior in the first place. But then when there are more difficult or repetitive behaviors, that's when we go through how to be a behavioral detective. And that means looking at what the behavior is, what happened before the behavior, what happened after, and what was the function or the reason for the behavior. Because if we know what the reason for the behavior is, we can avoid it. We can feed it or avoid it. Yeah.
Okay. So feeding it, what does that look like? What do you mean when you say you can feed it or you can avoid it? I find that really interesting.
I'll give you an example that I gave over the weekend. So I used to have lots of tiny tots, lots of little kiddos that would find it hilarious to fall on the floor. And as soon as I said this, everybody was like, yep, can relate, right? They love just falling onto the floor. But back then I wasn't thinking about why. All I was thinking about is how can I stop it? Which I think is what majority of the teachers are thinking of now. Miranda, how can we stop them from doing this? I'm not going to tell you how to stop it. I'm going to tell you why they're doing it. And then you can pick from how to feed that craving so they don't want to do it later. So I had a really traumatic experience with a kid falling to the floor and actually landing on their chin and bit their tongue in half. And it was so traumatic, and they ended up in hospital, obviously. And I said that on the weekend. I said, we've got to avoid this from happening because as much as we say, you're going to hurt yourself, that doesn't stop them from wanting to do it. So the reasons are usually sensory, I find. So if they are falling on the floor, they're probably craving proprioceptive input, body awareness. They're craving to know where their body is in space. And so they want to feel it on the ground subconsciously. So if we can give them a movement before they get to that part in the class where they are wanting to fall on the floor. So right at the beginning, even if we're sitting on the ground and then we make it a game to go splat and lie down on the floor, we're giving them that proprioceptive input that they are subconsciously craving, and then they're less likely to want to crave or have that feeling later on. So that's why it's a detective, because it's not surface level stuff, and it can take weeks of just reporting what's happening before, what the behavior is, what's happening after, and then trying to figure out, is it a sensory thing that they're seeking or avoiding? Is it they want to escape an activity because they don't like it or they're not very good at it? Is it attention? Do they just want attention? I mean, that's a very common one. That's a very common one, but we can also feed that in a positive way. Or is it tangible access to something? So once we break it into 4 categories, we can then start thinking about how we can respond to it better next time.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible? I mean, is there a preference when it comes to, classes of disability, special needs, etc., neurodivergence? Is there a preference in your mind if they should be together, or someone who does have autism is in a mainstream class? Like, what's your opinion, or what's your experience with that?
Yeah, I think that there's positives and negatives, and I think it's got to be a student-led decision. But for me, the most basic way of explaining it is, can they participate in the class and keep up and have a good time and be as successful as the other students? Or are they needing more assistance, and are they falling behind and therefore not having a great time? Because some students...
success is not getting the steps right. Yeah, it's success is participation and joy. Would we agree on that?
Yeah, for sure. And they're not going to feel joyful if they're not getting the steps as well. Maybe, if that matters to them too. So whatever it is that's helping them participate in the same way as everybody else. They're coming to class, they're learning a dance, they're having a good time, they perform it later. If they come into class, they're not having a good time, they're in the back row, they're struggling, or they're starting to be themselves and therefore disrupt other people, that's going to create not a great relationship between students. Maybe they need to have time, even for a short period of time, for some one-on-one support to learn the structure of the class, to then be able to come back and participate in a group. Or what we've found very successful is creating a space where people can learn differently, and it is a slower paced learning with a lot more resources. And some students prefer that rather than going to mainstream. So we also have students that go to both, by the way. We have performability students who also go to a mainstream school, and their reasons for that are usually that they get more of their occupational therapy style learning from us, lots of fine and gross motor skills, lots of social skills from us. And then they also have the joy of being in a mainstream studio too, because maybe their siblings go there or whatever it is. So there is a wrong or right answer. It's what's right for that particular student.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, like I said, everyone, Miranda is going to be at Studio Biz Summit, celebrating International Dance Day with us on April 29th. Woo woo, here in Sydney. Doesn't matter where you're from. We've got people flying in from Victoria, Geelong. Come on down wherever you are. What can people expect from your presentation on the day, and from what you're bringing to the summit?
Well, I know that to learn, it has to be engaging and fun. So my talks, I hope, from everyone else's perspective, are always super engaging and fun. So definitely not a sit down lecture. We need to move our bodies in order for our brains to be switched on. So I love to include a bit of that. We'll go deeper in the things that I talked about today. So breaking down, and hopefully you can walk away with really understanding how to be a behavioral detective, what those different functions of behavioral problems are, And also I'm there to answer the question. So come with your burning questions about a particular student or a group that you're struggling with. And I love breaking that down. And then I'll always say, message me on Instagram later if that worked or if it didn't, because I really want to help with these things. For me, being able to assist teachers in being better at this sort of thing is just a pathway to help more students have success. So that's why I love teaching teachers, because it means at the end of the day, I'm actually helping more students. So
yeah, why is it important for studios to get on board and learn about this side of, their classroom management?
well, we all are running a classroom, and I don't know that we think about that properly, but we have a duty of care to look after every little human in that room. And if you don't have strategies on how to do that, we're already failing, because something will come up. And every child in that room deserves the opportunity to learn and be successful for them in that class. So we do need to learn about this a little bit. And like I opened my studio at 18, I didn't have any of these skills, and it's a much bigger conversation, but we all know that this is not a regulated industry and anybody can jump in. So if you are going to do that, you need to do your own self-study and training so that you can be the best teacher you can be, so that you can do it right, give, the right type of learning and opportunities to the students that they deserve.
Also, from a business perspective, I can't remember if the stats is like 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 Australians lives with a disability. Like you're literally
Yeah.
you're blocking an entire portion of the market that actually wants to participate.
100%. 1 in 5 have disability, so 20% of the market, and 800,000 in Australia at the moment are diagnosed with ADHD, and a lot more aren't. So yeah, there's definitely people in your studio that are learning differently, and you need to know how to be able to work with them.
Yeah, love that so much. Okay, before we, let you go into your day to relax.
Won't be relaxing in a business.
No pina coladas, you sure? Tell us who or what inspires you most?
Oh man, did not know you were going to ask me that. Definitely my students at times. And I mean, they inspire me to keep doing what I'm doing. And they also inspire me to have less inhibitions, because they really don't care what people think, which is beautiful to see. Everybody that knows me knows I'm obsessed with Delta Goodrem, and I know she's got, some people love her, some people really don't
I
love her.
love Delta. I'm a big
good.
Delta fan. I'm all over it. Don't you worry.
But
Also from a singer's perspective, and I'm a singer as well.
Yes.
From a singer's perspective, like there's an appreciation there that you can't deny. It's like Tina Arena, or
Exactly. Oh, Tina's another one who again inspires me for similar reasons to Delta. I mean, go-getters who have chosen to sort of take their own path and make things work for them, and not work under the big umbrellas of everybody else, and just chase their dreams and do that. So I guess I'll say today anyway. If you ask me tomorrow, it's probably different. My students and Delta, who I am seeing Monday night at the Opera House. Yay.
Oh, why are you seeing Delta? You mean you're seeing her perform live, or you're like hanging out with Delta? That's
not hanging
things.
out, although my boyfriend does work at the Opera House, so maybe I'll sneak backstage and try my luck. But she has a show on, so I'm going.
Yeah, nice. And what is your definition of success? Like, what does success actually look like to you?
I think I'm still trying to figure that one out. At the moment, I know I feel most successful in myself when I have some sort of balance of, running the business in a way that's not financially stressful, which is definitely an ebb and flow, seeing the students perform and being on stage with them, going to yoga, having a coffee before 11. For me, it's just having a good life, I think, and being grateful every day for what I get to do and the people in my life.
How far and wide has performability spread? Where is it actually being serviced right now?
Most states in Australia have a performability class, and then we do reach some people internationally with our online classes at times.
Do you guys license performability to studios? Is that so that anyone can kind of have a performability program within any sort of mainstream studio. Is that what that is?
Yeah,
Is that what that looks like?
we do. I mean, technically on paper it is a license, but we really see it as partnering. We partner with studios because it's an ongoing relationship of support. It's not a here's a program, go and do it, because this sort of the sort of people we're working with, that you need ongoing support. We want to be able to help each student as though we're there. So we work with the partners. We know who's in their classroom. We know how to have conversations with those parents. We help them with their communication with parents when certain things come up. We're very much invested in the journey for every studio. It's not just a program.
Yeah, gotcha. I love the word partnership.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense in this context, absolutely. So what's next? What's next for Miranda Daisy? Whoa.
There's always so much going on, and my staff and my partner are holding onto the back of my shoulders, panicking where I'm going to take them next, I think, every single day. There are some TV things happening, which I can't really say too much about, but under two different umbrellas. So one is under the performability umbrella and another is a separate project, which I have been pushing for about 5 years, and I'm super excited about that. It is still an inclusive project, and will hopefully open the doors for a lot of people with disabilities to be seen and be able to perform and have careers themselves. So I'm so excited about that to happen. With performability, we are just wanting to reach more and more studios so that we can service people with disability all over the country and run our teacher training programs. And for our students, next weekend they are performing at the International Bachata Festival, which we do every year. It's one of our biggest events. It's a Latin dance event, and this year we've got the most amount of teams going that we ever have. And the Latin dance community for us are, just remembered I had a dream about them last night actually. They're so supportive. And I mean, if you were at ADF and people saw the response to our students on stage at ADF, the Bachata Festival is like that as well, and we all just bawl our eyes out. So I can't wait to see them up on stage next weekend doing their partner dancing too.
Yeah, amazing. All right, well, everyone, you heard it here. If you want to learn from one of the amazing women in this space, leading the charge, we're going to talk about, we don't swing on the bar, strategies for a neurodiverse classroom at Studio Biz Summit. Grab your tickets, everyone. Link in show notes, all the fun things. You're going to meet Miranda and myself live, plus a lineup of incredible speakers and entertainers. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So pumped to meet everybody at Studio Biz Summit.
Woo-woo. Thanks.
This episode was brought to you by Studio Biz Summit, where you can enjoy industry discussions and insights at this live event for studio owners and team. Celebrate International Dance Day with us on April 29th, 2025. Grab your tickets now. Head to josephinelancuba.com/summit. See you there.